Hey everybody, how you doing? It's your boy Shaheener coming at you with another tier list video. And so for this episode, we are looking over the Pokemon of Generation 7, which was introduced in Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. So we're going to go over all the Pokemon, about my thoughts, about their design, performance, anything of the sort, anything that comes up. We'll talk about any kind of variants that they had, whether they're like regional forms or Gigantamax forms or whatever they have. This is being recorded as of October 10th, so if there's any news from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in the future release that comes out next month, I don't know about it right now. I will make an addendum in that video, so that one will have any kind of updates, regional variants, whatever variants that they have. But yeah, if you like what you see over here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, the whole YouTube deal. It very much helps out over here. But, yeah, without any further ado, let's crack open our, of course, we gotta crack one open for the boys. Oh, yeah. So, first up, we are looking at the starters. So, we have Rowlet, we have Dartrix, and Decidueye with its Hisuian variant. And this was definitely my first starter for Sun and Moon. Well, I had both games, and I actually had the Steelbook for it and everything. And so Sun was my main playthrough, and that one I was doing all new Pokemon on it on my first playthrough. But then on Moon, I did all the regional variants. Yeah, Rowlet was definitely my favorite. I think honestly for me it was just the cutest out of the three when they first introduced them. And I'm kind of surprised that it was just pure grass instead of like grass flying, because it makes sense because you know it's a burb. Other than that, I do like Rowlet quite a bit. I'll throw Rowlet into A tier. Dartrix, on the other hand, it's, as we mentioned in the previous episodes, it's just that awkward middle stage. It's whatever. I'll probably just put in the C tier. It's just neutral. Decidueye, I do like quite a bit. I do like the kind of like the mysterious look to it. It was surprising at first to hear that it wasn't grass flying, because again, burb. But it is a grass ghost type, which I guess makes sense because that just seems to be where they're going with, like, the Pokemon kind of counteracting each other on the types with, like, ghost, dark, fairy, or with they had with the Galar birds where they had psychic fighting dark. It just makes sense technically. Yeah, I do like Decidueye quite a bit. I'll throw Decidueye into, I throw into A tier. I do like it a lot, actually. Hisuian Decidueye is grass fighting. So this is something where they introduced for the Hisuian starters that those were also going to be in the same ilk as like the Galarian birds, where they're all going to counteract each other, where we have basically Decidueye is grass fighting, there's Typhlosion, which was fire ghost, and they had Samurott, which was water dark. Hisuian Decidueye, design-wise, I thought was fine. Not much else for me to say about that. I thought it was fine. I do like the shiny version better, so it matches color-wise. It's just strange that it decided to go to autumn leaf color all of a sudden. I'm going to throw Hisuian Decidueye into B tier. Okay, next up we have the fire-type starters. So we have Litten, we have Torracat, and we have Incineroar. And again, this, like the past few generations, was one of those generations where I never bothered with the fire-type starter. I don't know, like they're fine and everything, but they really just, I don't know, they just didn't stick out to me as I don't know, as like Rowlet or even Popplio. Litten, it's cute, but it doesn't really have much else going for it. I'd probably put Litten in the C tier. Torracat, I think it's not that great, in my opinion, honestly. I think it's just kind of whatever. I'm going to throw Torracat into D tier. Incineroar, I do like. I thought it was kind of interesting that they decided to choose that one as one of the fighters in Smash Bros. I would probably have to throw into B tier, honestly. I'm starting to realize, didn't I have the F tier in the other videos as blue? I should probably change that. There we go, that looks a little bit better. Okay, so next up we have the water starters. So we have Popplio, we have Brioni, and we have Primarina. And so Primarina is a water fairy type, which is really interesting. I mean, they already had that with Azumarill and that whole line. Yeah, I did like this line quite a bit. I liked it almost as much as the Rowlet line. I mean, Rowlet was still my favorite out of the three, But Poplio, I'd probably throw into B tier. I do like it. Brioni, I would probably throw it into C tier, I guess. I'm just neutral about it. It's again just like I'm whatever about it. Primarina, I do like quite a bit. I'd probably throw that one into. I'd probably throw into A tier, honestly. I do like it. Okay, next up is our basic bird Pokemon. So we have Pikipek, we have Trumbeak, and we have Toucanon. And so with those ones, they are normal flying types, so it's gone back to that again. And I didn't use them at all because, I don't know, it just didn't stick out to me like other Pokemon in this generation. Pikipek, I'd probably throw into... Honestly, yeah, Pikipek would be in the C for sure. Trumbeak, I would throw into... Honestly, I'd throw into D tier. I really just... I don't know, it's just one... Again, awkward middle stage. I kind of forgot its name, honestly. Toucanon is... I feel the same as Pikipek. It's just whatever. I mean, I do think toucans are cute, but it just doesn't have anything special going on about it. But it does match in the context of Alola, which is supposed to be based off Hawaii. So next up, we have our rodents. So we have Yungoos and we have Gumshoos. And they are just pure normal type. Don't like either of them. Flat out, there's nothing else for me to say. I don't like either of them. I don't use them. I don't plan on using them. I just don't like them. Okay, next up, we have a very interesting typing. I don't recall if it was done before, but anyways, we have Grubbin, we have Charjabug, and we have Vikavolt, which Grubbin is just pure bug type. But Charjabug and Vikavolt are bug electric, which is very, very cool. I remember, I think it was Sophocles, a gym leader, had a Vikavolt, or at least Charjabug. I liked them. I didn't really use them, and I heard that Vikavolt has really bad speed, and that's kind of, like, I feel like that's counterintuitive to electric types. I don't know. Grubbin, I'd probably throw into C tier. Charjabug, I'd probably put in the same, honestly, but Vikavolt, I put into B tier. But, yeah, they're okay. Like, I don't have anything against any of them. Next up, we have Crabrawler and Crabominable, which Crabrawler is just pure fighting type, and Crabominable is an ice fighting type. I definitely use Crabominable on my team, but it was very saddening to hear that you didn't get Crabominable until you get to basically the end of the game at Mount Lanakila. So the whole time you have to have Crabrawler, which is fine. Crabrawler's fine. I would probably throw that one into C tier, but Crabominable, I would throw it A tier, definitely. It was really, really good to use. I enjoyed using Crabominable quite a bit, actually. Next up, so the next four are all one Pokemon. They're all just different versions of it, different forms, let's say. So these are Pokemon called Oricorio. So they're all just basic flying type, but they all have different typings based off of each color scheme, I guess. So we have a fire flying, we have electric flying, there's psychic flying and ghost flying. So they all have different styles to them, and they're all kind of based off different, like, dance moves. Like, you have one doing the salsa, you have a cheerleader, you have the hula, and you have, yeah, Oricorio, the fire type one. I would probably throw that into C tier. The electric one, I don't care for as much. I throw into D. The psychic one, I'd probably throw into C. And then the ghost one, I'd probably throw into B. That one's definitely my favorite. I love that color of purple to it. It just looks very mystic. I really like that one quite a bit. We have some bug fairy types. So we have Cutiefly and we have Rabombi. And so, I don't like either of them. Like, they're not offensively bad as, like, Gumshoos. But, I just don't like them, really. And for some reason, Rabombi, like, every time that I play the Dynamax Adventures with my friends and we run into Rabombi, it looks like it has a receding hairline, and it just reminds me, I don't know, I keep on thinking of George Costanza for some reason from Seinfeld, and I just can't unimagine Rabombi and Costanza being the same thing. Okay, so next up are Pokemon that I have held very near and dear to me in the past year or so. And that, of course, is Rockruff and the Lycanroc. All of them are, like, versions of themselves. For Lycanroc, is just different forms, which I'll get into in a moment. But with Rockruff and this whole line, I mean, it's special to me because, at least for those that have been watching me on Twitch, this is Bunky. This is one of the few Pokemon that I really have nicknamed and kept with that. Essentially what the context is that I was streaming about a year ago. I was doing a playthrough of Ultra Sun. And one of my viewers asked me why I didn't nickname my Pokemon. And so, For me, at least, I like to have everything organized, and I like to make sure that I have everything of the same name instead of having, like, I told them as an example of, like, I don't want to have, like, 5 Arcanines, and then one of them named, like, all of them named Arcanine and one of them named Bunky. And I don't know why my brain just went to Bunky for, like, a nickname. So I told them that the next Pokemon that I catch would be named Bunky. And so that ended up being Rockruff. I don't know why I didn't go for Growlithe or Arcanine at that point when I was talking about Arcanine, but yeah, it just ended up sticking to Rockruff. And so for a while there, I would just joke around with my friend Greg, which you could check him out on Gerg's Games on Twitch, link down below. But I would just joke with him. I was like, "Hey, I should get a Bunky tattoo, haha," like that kind of thing. He's like, "No, don't do it." But then it just kept on piling on, and one of my friends suggested that if I get enough donations to get a tattoo, that I should get it. And so I thought, on the contrary, what if we raise money for charity? And if we raise enough money, then I'll put my own money to, like, get this tattoo myself, and then I'll donate more for a charity. So that's what we did for the week of Christmas last year. We raised money for the Trevor Project. And so I told people if we raised $500 for the Trevor Project that I would get the Bunky tattoo that we've been clamoring about. And so in that 1 week, we raised over $600, which was just outstanding, and I still am very, very grateful for everybody that helped contribute and donate to a good cause, which I should be doing another one of those this coming December. The information will be released sometime soon, I think. Still have to plan it out, really. But yeah, definitely going to be raising more money for the Trevor Project. And if you want to donate to them, please check the link down below. But yeah, so that's what this is right over here. This is the Bunky tattoo after all that. So yeah, of course, Rockruff, easy S tier, no doubt. And all the Lycanrocks, I mean, this is all going to be more bias. But yeah, these are all going to be going into S tier, just as a heads up. So they're all pure rock types, and with the 3 forms of Lycanroc, so it's Dawn form, Midnight form, and Dusk form. Rockruff will evolve into one of these depending on the time of day, but with the Dusk form Lycanroc, the 3rd one, it'll only evolve to that one within like 1 hour of the day. I forget what time exactly, and it has to have the ability Own Tempo, which is a hidden ability. And originally, you'd only be able to get the Own Tempo Rockruff with a Mystery Gift event. So after that, you weren't able to get it unless you like bred it and got it from somebody else. But then later on Sword and Shield, they fixed it so you could get an Own Tempo Rockruff to make it into a Lycanroc. And I did end up getting or breeding them to get shinies of all of the line of this one too. So we have Wishy-Washy, which you can see over here. It looks like it'd be an evolution, but no. These are the same Pokemon. Yeah, they're the exact same Pokemon. It's just that it's a form change. That this is just the basic Wishy-Washy, and they're pure water type, and it has its school form, which is this one. So these are just like hundreds or thousands of this fish that turned to a giant one, gets like stat boosts and all that stuff. And I think it's a really cool gimmick. I just didn't end up using one. I don't know why I didn't. The regular Wishy-Washy I'd put into C tier, but the full school form of it I would put into B tier. I do like that one. But anyways, now we have Marini and we have Toxapex, which are water poison type. And they were pretty difficult to get originally in those games. You had to go through like the SOS battles essentially to get them. I like them. They're more defense oriented, which again, as I mentioned before, I'm more of an offense kind of battler. And I think they're fine. I would probably throw them into B tier. I like their color scheme as well. I like that blue and purple aesthetic. It looks really nice. Mudbray and Mudsdale, which are both pure ground type, and they are based off of... I don't know if Mudsdale is based off of a horse, or if it's still based off of like a donkey or a mule, like Mudbray is. And it looks so dorky on its first phase. It's kind of funny and adorable. And then it just turns into like this brute of a freaking stallion. But, yeah, I'd probably put Mudbray into... I'd probably put into C tier, honestly. But Mudsdale, I would put into... I'll put into B tier. I never used it. And I know a lot of people really, really loved Mudsdale. I just never got around to using it for whatever reason. Okay, next up, we have Dewpider and we have Araquanid. And these are bug water types. And I know a lot of people overlooked these ones over here. I didn't. I used them I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I used them in Sun or Ultra Sun, but I know for sure I had them on my main team. And Araquanid was freaking great. It was super, super good on my team. It was one of my favorites that I used. I mean, yeah, it was kind of like not great on the defense side, but offense-wise was awesome. I loved it. Dupiter, I'd put into B tier. Araquanid, easy S tier, that's no doubt. So next up, we have Fomantis and we have Lurantis, which are both pure grass type, and Lurantis is one of those few totem-sized Pokemon that you would encounter in your playthrough of Sun Moon, or Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. I do like them. Again, didn't use them on the team, but I like them. I would put Fomantis into C, but I put Lurantis into, I put into B. But next up, we have Morlul and Shiinotic, which I believe that they're Grass Fairy type? Yeah, they're Grass Fairy, and I don't like them really. Morlul, I would put into, well, I would put Morlul into C. Honestly, I'm more neutral about that one, but Shiinotic, I don't like. I think it's because I've been watching Max Mofo Pokemon for so long that I just can't unsee it as the alien Mr. Burns. It's so dorky looking. I have to put into D for dork. Next up, we have Salandit and Salazzle, which are fire poison types, which, I mean, to me, that's a cool typing. I really like that typing. But the only way you can get Salazzle is by evolving the Salandit as a female. They don't evolve as males. The males just stay beta as we should be. I like them. I'd put Salandit into B tier. Salazzle I put into A tier. I like that one quite a bit. I'm pretty sure I used one on my team. But fire types are always underappreciated in terms of like being utilized in the Pokedex. I feel like that there's not as many fire types as there are like grass types or water types. But next up we have Stuffle and Beware, which I believe is normal and fighting, and they are very, very cute. Beware, I heard, is very strong, although I never personally used one. I would put Stuffle into B tier. Beware, I would probably put in the same. Next, we will go into our next set of grass type Pokemon. We have Boonsweet, we have Steenie, and we have Serena. I think Boonsweet is cute. I would throw that one into B for Boonsweet. Steenie, I would put into C tier. I feel kind of whatever about it. But Serena is great design, great Pokemon. I never used it, but I want to on my next playthrough. Next, we have Comfey, which is a pure fairy type. And this is, as I mentioned in previous generations, where I think now they're just having like the one Pokemon that's based off of an inanimate object. So this one is based off of a lei. I'm not against it at all. I just don't think it's like as great or as strong of a Pokemon as like, let's say, Serena. I'll put that one into C. But people just blow this stuff out of proportion by like, oh, it's just a lei, it's just whatever. But I've gone on the rant already, so if you want to check that out, check the other tier list videos. Okay, next up we have two single stage Pokemon that are based off of primates. So we have Oranguru and we have Passimian, which are normal psychic and normal fighting respectively. Of course I'm gonna love these because primates are the greatest things in the world. I love all primates, apes, monkeys. I am definitely gonna be putting those ones into A tier. I didn't use them because they're single stage, but I absolutely love them. They are very I don't know, they're very cool. Next up, we have Wimpod and we have Golisopod, which Golisopod, I believe, is the signature Pokemon for Guzma, who's the head of Team Skull. And I never use them because of their really, really dumb ability. It's called Wimp Out. Basically, when the health of the Pokemon is 50% or less, it immediately switches out. And that is so frustrating to me because it's just like, I want to fight it till the end. Or if you're trying to catch it, you can't weaken it down like you normally would in any other battle. You have to like basically make sure that you get it to at least like 51% health, because if it goes any lower, then it's going to run away. And they're very hard to encounter in battle. So other than that though, bug water type, I thought it was cool, but Araquanid was a lot better in this generation. So I would put Wimpod into, I'd put into C tier. Golisopod I'd put into B tier just because it looks freaking awesome, but its ability really hinders it. Next up, we have ground ghost types, Sandygast and Palisand. Never used them. I've never been opposed to those ones, but I just didn't end up using them. But honestly, if I used a ground type Pokemon, I'd probably end up using Mudsdale in this one. It is cool that they mixed the ground and ghost and they found a way to make it work. Throw those ones in the C tier. Next is a single stage Pokemon. I believe it's just pure water, is Pyukumuku, which kind of reminds me of Quillfish. I got nothing. It's not It's not my favorite. It does have an ability that like just messes you up when it knocks it out, innards out. So you get damaged pretty bad when you knock it out, I believe. So I would throw Pyukumuku into C tier. I think its ability is really cool if you're using it yourself, but when you're battling against it, it's kind of frustrating. And you have to just keep that in mind as you battle Pyukumuku. Next up is Type Null and Silvally, which Type Null was such a strange naming for a Pokemon. I guess that there's been also strange names like Mr. Mime and Mr. Rhyme, so I guess it kind of works. I didn't know this until way later that these are considered legendary Pokemon. Like actual legendaries. It's so, like, it just kind of blew my mind that it was like that. Not like I was opposed or anything. It was just so strange that a Pokemon I didn't really think too much about at first were legendary Pokemons. Is plural Pokemons or Pokemon? Anyways, Silvally has the same kind of concept as Arceus, is that it could be pretty much whatever type you want it to be if it's given a certain item. You evolve it by friendship. I mean, it makes sense because, like, at least in the story, it's like a Pokemon that's, like, in prison and it can't really do anything, and then it gets freed. It's the power of love or whatever it is. Yeah, naturally, they're normal types. And I do like them, honestly. I would throw Type Null into B tier. I'd throw Silvally into S tier, honestly. I like its design. It looks almost like it's the equivalent of like a platypus. It just has too many things going on with it. It's like a mix of like a platypus and a griffin. So next up is a rock flying type. I didn't know until right now that it's rock flying. I thought the whole time it was just pure rock and it had levitate for its ability. Shows how much I use this thing, which was never. It's a Minior. So yeah, rock flying type. And on the outside, they relatively have all the same, like, same exoskeleton. But the core of them, when they get damaged and the core opens up, then they all have different colors on the core. Which is really, really cool. And I guess thinking about it now, maybe I should, like, try and acquire them if I can. Maybe hopefully in Scarlet and Violet that they have them. But other than that, they really never did much at all for me. I'd probably throw Minior into C tier. Next up is Komala, which is a pure normal type single stage. I always forget that this Pokemon exists because it is very uninteresting to me. It's not offensively bad, it's just bad. It's forgetful. It just, I don't know, there's nothing interesting about it. Like, it doesn't scream like this is a Pokemon. It's just straight up looks like a koala or a drop bear. Next up, we have a Fire Dragon type, Turtonator, and I never used one. Again, it is good that they had a Fire type, especially Fire Dragon, because they did give that to Charizard until Mega Charizard X. It's kind of unique looking. It's alright. I'd probably throw it into C tier. Next up is our Pikachu clone, which is Electric Steel. It's a Togedemaru. And just like most of the other Pikachu knockoffs, I don't care for it at all. I'm going to throw that into D tier. I don't care for it at all. This one's kind of a strange one. This one, I don't know if people consider it like the Pikachu knockoff, but it definitely looks like Pikachu. This one is a pure ghost type. It's Mimikyu. Or sorry, it's not pure ghost type. It's Ghost Fairy. Ghost Fairy, Mimikyu, and its external appearance, the cloak that it has on it, looks like a Pikachu, so it like throw you off. But it has an ability that works like Substitute. And so once you hit it, like the headpiece falls over, and then it'll get damaged after that. I do like Mimikyu, or at least I grew to like Mimikyu. I feel like that at first I thought of like, oh, it's just trying to look like a Pikachu, but that's the point, and it does it pretty well and in a clever way, in my opinion. I'd probably throw Mimikyu into B tier. Next up, Bruxish. This is the Stunfisk of this generation. It is disgusting. It is ugly. I cannot stand it. I think it's water psychic. I don't really know or care. It's putrid. I hate it. I'm F tier all the way. It's the worst Pokemon of this generation by a mile. Next up, Drampa, which is a normal dragon type. Also very strange that they gave us a normal dragon. And also that it almost resembles Dunsparce in my opinion in a way, but they're not related at all. And it's kind of like the Alomomola situation where it looks like Luvdisc, but it isn't related. It's frustrating. It's nice to get more dragons, so I will put it into C tier. Like, it has some good, it has some bad, but it's Drampa. Next up, Grass Ghost type. I feel like this Pokemon doesn't get talked about as much, but I am happy that it actually got put back into Sword and Shield, which is Delmise. I want to say that I used it, or at least acquired. I know I acquired it for sure. It was a very, very interesting Pokemon, and I liked that typing of Grass Ghost. I'd probably throw Delmise, honestly, in a B tier. I do like it. Continuing on. So, we have our pseudo-legendaries, which are Dragon, and then it turns into Dragon Fighting after that. So, we have Jangmo-o, Hakamo'o, and Komo'o. I don't care for them as much as other Dragon pseudo-legendaries. I mean, I like them a little more overall than the Gumi line. But I mean, Gumi is the best thing ever, so. Jangmo-o, I'd probably put in a C tier. Hakamo'o, I would probably put in a D tier, really. It's, well, not that great. But Komo'o, I'd probably put in a B tier. I do like Komo'o. Next up, we have some legendary Pokemon. So, the next handful of them are going to be all legendaries. So, the first four are essentially our guardian Pokemon. So, these are the Tapu Pokemon. We have Tapu Koko, we have Tapu Lele, Tapu Bulu, and Tapu Fini. And so they all have fairy types with them. So Electric Fairy, Psychic Fairy, Grass Fairy, and Water Fairy. I do like Tapu Koko. I think it's because it had more of relevance to the story of it. And it was very, very frustrating to catch in one of the games because it's like immediately after you beat the Elite Four and the champion, then you go into this credit cutscene and it immediately makes you encounter Tapu Koko. And if you knock it out, I think you're SOL, but I could be wrong. Somebody could correct me in the comments, I guess. But it was very frustrating to do all of that in one like playthrough, one go around. But yeah, I do like Tapu Koko. I'd throw into A tier. Tapu Lele, I don't care for as much. I'd probably throw Tapu Lele in a C tier. Tapu Bulu, I do like a little more than Tapu Lele, but not as much as Koko. Throw that one in B for Bulu. Tapu Fini, I would say I feel the same way as Lele. It's just okay. This is coming up to having our box legendaries. So we have Nebby itself, we have Cosmog, we have Cosmoem, Solgaleo, and Lunala. I used to always call it Solgaleo, but I guess it's Solgaleo. I don't know. I mean, it's all the same thing. It's like Arceus Arceus. So, Cosmog, I think it's adorable. I'd probably throw it into B tier. Cosmoem, I would probably throw into C tier. I feel relatively indifferent about it. It's just that transitionary phase. And the reason why I'm lumping these all in the same category is because they all evolve into each other. They're all evolutions. And of course, it splits with Solgaleo and Lunala, based off of the version you have, I believe. Yeah, and of course, like, so those ones, they are both Psychic type, at least for the first two. But then it goes into Psychic Steel and Psychic Ghost for these respective box legendaries. And I love both of these. I love the design so much. They are freaking great. And I love that they have the integration of the Galaxy design in their face over there. But that seemed like at least in this like late 2010s, like mid to late 2010s, that there seemed to be a trend with Galaxy related stuff. I've noticed like even they had a 3DS that was Galaxy based. Anyway, Solgaleo and Lunala, easy S tier, no doubt about it. They are both fantastic. The next handful of Pokemon are a bit strange and abstract for Pokemon, I guess. A lot of people don't classify them as Pokemon, but they're listed in the Pokédex, so technically it could go either way. I consider them Pokemon at the end of the day. In the game, like, they're just considered aliens, essentially. These, of course, are the Ultra Beasts. So they come in through, like, a wormhole, like a rift in just everything. They show up, and they wreak havoc, and then you gotta, like, stop them, essentially. So the first one that we got over here is Nihilego, which is a psychic rock type, or no, poison rock type. I always get that mixed up. It's poison rock. And this is the first one that you encounter directly is Nihilego. So these do have a resemblance of the characters in the game. This one is supposed to, in my opinion, it resembles Lily in the game more than anything. But it does merge with Lusamine in
Sunny and Moon,
which is her mother. Spoiler alert. I could take or leave this one. I think it's fine. I'd just throw into C tier, honestly. Next up, we got Buzzwole, which is a bug fighting type. We also have Pheromosa, which is also bug fighting. I like both of these ones. I mean, I do have to say I like Buzzwole a little more. I would throw Buzzwole into A tier. Pheromosa, I would throw into B tier. I do like both of them, and they both have their own traits, but I would definitely pick Buzzwole, especially its shiny is really cool. It has that like neon green flowing through it. I think that's dope. But, next up, we have a pure electric type. We have Xurkitree, and this one, I feel like I was one of them I struggled the most with catching when I was playing through the games. And I do appreciate it. I'd still put it into B tier though. Next up, we have Celesteela, which is a flying steel type. This one, I really think it's awesome with like the jets that it has that it propels itself with. And it's a very, very tall Pokemon from what I recall. 30'2". It is a freaking monster. Yeah, I'm throwing Celesteela into A tier. Definitely. It's really cool. Next up, we have a grass steel Pokemon. We have Kartana, and this one is definitely the smallest one. It's the fastest, I believe. Or it's one of the fastest, and its attack is really high. This one is pretty frustrating to try and catch because of how strong it is. It just constantly knocks out your team, so you gotta be well prepared for it. I would throw Kartana into B tier though. Next up is personally my favorite Ultra Beast, is Guzzlord. It is a dark dragon type. This is the definition of a beast, and it reminds me of like the Lovecraftian horrors, essentially. I just love the whole like evilness of it. It's just pure evil. And it's not often when you see a Pokemon that just doesn't seem like it ever have like a heart. So I'd throw that one to S tier, no doubt. And also it's funny in the anime when it has its cry. It's just a man screaming in the Japanese anime, of course. But next up, we have basically the third legendary, the third box legendary, if you want to call it that. So this one is Necrozma, which they don't know to classify it as a Pokemon or an Ultra Beast. It's kind of in an even more gray area. But this one, in Sun and Moon, you don't really pay too much mind to it because it really doesn't do much. You only encounter it post-game, it just shows up. But then it makes more sense in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It's basically a parasite. It takes over Solgaleo Lunala, and of course you get the Dawn Wings and the Dawn Mane and the Dusk Wings Necrozma, if I remember their names correct. Yeah, Dusk Mane and Dawn Wings. Sorry, I got those mixed up. And these ones are Psychic, Psychic Steel, Psychic Ghost, so the types remain the same. And I like them all quite a bit, actually. I would throw Necrozma into honestly, S tier. I'd throw Necrozma in S tier. The Dawn Dusk Necrozmas over here, I would throw those into A. They just don't seem too like exciting. Next up, this one is still Necrozma, by the way. This is the fully realized max power Ultra Necrozma over here. And this one is, I believe it's Psychic Dragon, I want to say. Yeah, it is a Psychic Dragon type, and you only battle it once. And I don't believe you could acquire yourself an Ultra Necrozma to use in battle. It's just in the one thing for the story. But it is freaking stellar. I love it. I love its design. I don't know, it's awesome. And also the first really, really rare Pokemon card I ever remember pulling, or at least where I was like, oh my gosh, this is like valuable, was the Ultra Necrozma GX in Dragon Majesty. I pulled it from an Elite Trainer box, and I just thought that was freaking awesome. Throw that one, no doubt, in S tier. Now we are going into, well, that is essentially the main Pokédex, I would say, for the Sun and Moon games. And everything else is going to be like addendums, let's say. Like either mythicals or just extra Pokemon that they added after the fact. And so the first one is, I believe, the very first Pokemon they introduced for Generation 7. This was still during the Generation 6 cycle, if I remember correct. So this one is Magearna. This is a Steel Fairy type. It is one of the few man-made Pokemon. And I believe you get it by a mystery gift event. You have to scan a QR code, which you can find that one very, very easily. So you can pretty much get it whenever instead of waiting for like a timed event. And also you do get the original color as a gift when you complete the national dex on Pokemon Home. So I do have one of those original color Magearnas. It is so cool. It's so worth it. I would throw Magearna into A tier though. In terms of its like just overall, I think it's fine, but original color. Next up, we have Marshadow, which is a it's a fighting ghost type, and this was the main mascot of the Pokemon I Choose You movie. I don't really have much to say about Marshadow, honestly. I think it's just fine. I throw it into B tier. So next up, the next four are all Ultra Beasts. These are the last Ultra Beasts that they've introduced so far. So we have Poipole, Naganadel as the first two. These are Poison and then Poison Dragon types. And so these ones they added into Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I think that they're pretty cool. I do like Naganadel quite a bit. I know a lot of people like Poipole more, so they want to like keep it as a Poipole. I don't mind either way. I do like their shinies a lot more, though, where they have the white and gold look. I think that's awesome. I throw Poipole into A. Naganadel I throw into S. I really, really like Naganadel quite a bit. So next up these are version exclusive Ultra Beasts over here. There were some before, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. But these ones I know for sure are version exclusives. So you have Stakataka and you have Blacephalon. And so Stakataka is a rock steel type, which I just found out right now. I thought it was just pure raw. And then Blacephalon is ghost fire, which also is cool type. Stakataka, I don't think much about, honestly. I'd probably throw that one into C tier. Blacephalon, I kind of like a little more, I'd say. I'd put that into B tier. Their shinies are kind of whatever, I guess, but I do like them. I can appreciate them, though. Next up is essentially our, like, final real Pokemon that was in the game code for Sun and Moon. That is, of course, Zeraora, which is a pure electric type. It almost looks like it doesn't fit in Pokemon. Like, it almost looks like one of those that could be placed in, like, a Monster Rancher or a Digimon. I think it's fine. I don't think much of it. I throw it into B tier, though. And they did have an event in Sword and Shield where if people beat enough of the Zeraoras in the max raid events, that they would give us a shiny Zeraora, so have one of those myself. Next up, this is kind of an interesting situation with these Pokemon over here. A lot of times they don't get classified into a certain generation because it was introduced elsewhere. They were introduced in Pokemon Go, of all things. It was just so interesting to me. They're Pokemon that are considered very slow, but they're introduced in a game where you have to be mobile and move around to play the game. Meltan, Melmetal, and Gigantamax Melmetal, which that one didn't get introduced till, I believe, the DLC. I didn't get any of these ones officially because I don't play Pokemon Go. I never had it, never played it, because I just don't like mobile games personally. I don't like the free to start concept. It's not my thing. I'd rather pay full price for a game and just have the whole thing instead of paying like microtransactions. Anyways. Yeah, so I had to acquire them by trade by somebody on the internet, so I ended up getting them. I think that they're fine. I think Meltan is kind of cute, but that's pretty much as far as it goes. They're all pure steel type, by the way. Melmetal, I do like actually quite a bit. I throw that into A tier. And then Gigantamax Melmetal, I would throw into B tier. I can't really think too much of it. Yeah, with those ones, it was very interesting in how you get them too, because you have to trigger some event, and then you have to catch a bunch of Meltans within that small time frame, and have enough candies to get Melmetal, or to evolve it to Melmetal, from what I remember. And it was like really hard to get all those candies, so it's kind of hard to actually get Melmetal. Again, I could be totally wrong on that one. I just never really bothered with Pokemon Go at all. Yeah, that's it for this tier list over here. So as you can see, this is the final list. And yeah, I feel like as we're getting to these later generations, we're seeing more in this mid area of like C tier, and that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, tell me what you think about this. If you liked it, you hated it, tell me I'm wrong, just let me know. And please subscribe, tell your friends, really, really help the channel at all. But yeah, until next time, I will catch you later. Peace.